So in today's class, we will learn software testing models. So what are software testing models? Now, there are three people here. Now, let's say I give a certain work to just forget about certain work. I will tell both of me to go from, let's say, point A to point B. And I will tell Dhaliwal to go from point A to point B. And I will tell Fazil to go from point A to point B. Okay. So what will happen? It may happen that Dhaliwal go by bike, Gautami go by car, and Fazil go by walking. So the same
Hello.
activity. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Sir, I'm unable to listen a class today because of my son.
Okay.
I'm alone to take care of him. Sorry, I'm leaving.
Okay.
Please, I will listen class after recording.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. So the same activity can be done by three different person in three different rooms. Okay. Now the client comes. He gives a work to develop his or her application. Now, which way you will be completing that task is can be different. Let's say he came to one company, he may do it in a certain way. He came to another company, that company may do it in a different way. But we should know what are the prescribed ways of doing the both is now when you design a project, not only SDLC comes, both SDLC as well as STLC comes. So how this STLC and STLC will be performed. That also need to have some protocols. Okay, so for that reason, when a client gives a project to a company, he may do it in one way, other may do it in another way. But nowadays, you must be hearing this word agile. Everyone is following the agile model. No one is following any other model. But for interview point of view, we need to know what are the different models present. And agile will be a different chapter for us. So we'll be learning every detail about the agile model. But all other model, we just learn what are those models for interview point of view. Okay. Because nowadays, almost every project is working in agile. No one is working in other model. Okay. So before agile, we can say it came just this 5 to 6 years. This agile came into market. But the IT industry is more than 30-40 years. Okay. So before agile, what was being followed? The most common model which is followed before agile was waterfall model. So what is waterfall model? Let's understand one by one. Let's say a client comes. He tell me I need an application. I need an application. In my application, I will have 5 features. Okay. Feature 1, login. Just here only I'm writing. Feature 2, let's say place a order for TV. Feature 3, add customer address. Feature 4, add payment method. Feature 5, help section. Help us. Okay, so now let's say I'm a client. I went to a company. I tell them I need 5 features in my application. So what are those features? First feature is my login feature. Second is my placing an order for TV feature. Third is customer address feature. Fourth is payment method, adding payment method feature. Fifth is help for customer feature. Now, the model. Let's discuss the model which was used. The model which was used before Agile was followed most commonly. The model is called Waterfall Model. Okay, Waterfall Model. So what happens in Waterfall Model? In Waterfall Model, let's say there are 5 features. So let's say for this feature one, I'll take 5 days. Just assume that I'll take 5 days for all the features. So in Waterfall Model, what is happening? As I have 5 feature here, so I do if uh, 5 days I'll be taking for developing each feature. So total is 25 days. This is only for development. So what will happen for testing? Again, I have to take more 45 days for testing. So total, I'll take 50 days for completing this project. Okay. So the first is the development phase, in which all the 5 features. Feature 5 coding and development is done. Here, the development team is completely working. But what about the testing team? It is completely idle. Only thing they can do is create tests, but they cannot execute it. So there is no productivity of testing team in this period, which is let's say 25 days. There is no productivity in this total period. Why? Why? Because only the coding or the development team is developing something in this whole period, 25 days. But the testing team is completely idle. It's not doing anything yet. Understood? So now what will happen? Again, testing team will take 45 days. So it will test all the feature 1, feature 2, feature 3 testing. It will do all the testing of these features. Okay. And the development team will be sitting idle. So in total, how many days I took to develop this? 50 days. Yes or no? First, my
Yes.
complete development was done. Then, after the complete development is finished, then testing was done. So here, what one disadvantage you are noticing in this model? From not from the company point of view. Company will earn money; he is earning it. But what is the disadvantage from client point of view? What you are noticing here?
That is a wastage of time. Like until the development team is not developing the software, the testing team is idle.
Correct. So here, for 25 days, testing team is sitting idle, and for 25 days, development team is sitting idle. But the client is paying money for 50 days to both testing and development team. Okay, the client is paying money for both testing and development team. So what will happen? It is a waste of money, right? In this model, the client is losing money. Yes or no?
Yes.
Here, when the client is losing money, basically half of the money is what is giving is just for doing nothing. 45 days is giving to the testing team for doing nothing. 45 days is giving to the development team for doing nothing. So this model which was following earlier, the client basically noticed that they are losing out money, means they're paying basically double the price. They're paying money for making the whole team to sit for half of the entire period. Half period development team is sitting, half period testing team is sitting. So for this reason, what happened? Everyone nowadays, every client is moving to Agile. Nowadays, you will be seeing that very few projects, rare one or two, will be in Waterfall or something, or some other model. But every client now have switched to Agile. Why? Because this complete 50 days what was given to the company to design Waterfall model, it will be now whole 45 days for the company. And here the company has to do all the development and testing in 45 days. And here, the client will not pay anyone to just sit idle. The entire 25 days, both the development and the testing team will work simultaneously. Understood or not?
Yeah.
See, similarly, waterfall model, there is one other model called, see, you can see the diagram in waterfall model. Everything flow, flow like a waterfall. Such as management system design implementation. Implementation means development only. So this is development and then implementation, then testing, deployment, maintenance. So there is another model called iterative model. So what happens in iterative model? Let's understand. It's just the approach is different, but is similar to waterfall model. Okay. In iterative model, it's just the what you can say. It's same 50 days only. Let's understand how it works. So in it, iterative model also will take 50 days, but the approach of doing the thing is different. So what they will do, let's say they will segregate. First we'll be developing F1, F2, F3, then we'll be developing F4 and F5. They'll segregate like this. So what they will do, now this will develop only F1, F2, F3. For F5, 6. So now this will be 15, 15 days. 15, 15. Okay, now see, in iterative model, what I did, instead of developing everything at a time, just I divided it into two subsections. First, I will develop F1, F2, F3, then I will develop F4 and F5. So here, but even though I have divided, the same thing followed. First, I'll be in 15 days, I'll be developing F1, F2, F3. Testing team will be sitting idle. Then the next 15 days, F1, F2, F3 testing will be done and development team will sit idle. Then next, after this is done, then again development will be done for 10 days for F4 and F5, and the testing team will again take 10 days for 4 and F5 testing. Clear, everyone?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is iterative model, but the way of doing it is different. We have created in two phases, but time taken is same only. There is no change in the time taken. So even though the client follows this model also, is giving high price because days are same, right? You have to pay the same price only. Only the way in which the company or the team does that is different, but that is not of a concern to the client, right? Because anyway, he is getting a product and paying the same money. So his money is not getting sent to you. Yes or no? So next comes an agile model. So which is the actual model, okay, which is being used nowadays? Agile model. So here the client will not pay for 15 days. Here the client will pay for 45 days. Here see, at the end of 50 days, the client get the final product. Here also in iterative model, at the end of the 50 days, the client get the final product after the testing and development done. But here in agile model, it will be giving, means it will take just the half the number of days it was taking for waterfall or iterative model. For waterfall and iterative, it was taking 50 days, but for agile, it will just take 25 days. Understood? Everyone?
Yes.
So Fazil, you are also getting? Hello, Fazil?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So in this 25 days again will be subdivided into 5 subdivision. Each subdivision is called as sprint. Sprint 1, that is a 5 days. Sprint 2, again that is a 5 days. Again sprint 3. So each subdivision in Agile is called a sprint, and Agile is again a complete next chapter in our course, which will be learning bit by bit. Just understand how the work is done here. Again, it will take 5 days. Similarly, 4 and 5. Each of the factors. So what happens here? What makes the difference that instead of 40 days, I'm doing the work in 25 days? So in sprint 1, what will happen? Now I have 5 feature. So I'll divide this 5 feature and in each sprint I'll develop one feature. So here what will happen? F1 development will be done as well as testing of F1 will also be done. And at the end of the sprint, see here the delivery was done at the end of 50 days. Here also the delivery was done in the end of 50 days. But here the delivery will be done at the end of the sprint 1 only. So whatever we have developed, that will be delivered to the client. So delivery 1 will happen here to the client, whatever we have developed and tested it. Done. Again in sprint 2, what will happen? So in delivery 1, this application will just have feature 1. Now in second sprint, what will happen? There will be F2 feature development and testing of F1 as well as testing of F2. Testing of F2 because it is new, so it is testing of F2. But why we are testing F1? just because we are doing regression testing, which we have discussed earlier class. Why we are doing regression testing? Because if a new feature is developed, it may affect the older feature. So for that reason, we are doing regression testing of F1. So here again, at the end of the sprint, a second delivery will be done, which will be consisting of feature 1 and feature 2. Got it?
So Pratik, on sprint 2, the developer will give you the two part of it, right? We are doing the first part of testing in sprint 1 and the second part in this. So in the second delivery, we are getting the both one, right?
See, when I am telling feature 2 development, it will be developed on top of the already existing delivery, right? That means already existing application, it will be developing F2. It will not be a separate application. The same application, one more feature will be added.
Okay.
Understood?
Yes.
Now, what will happen? F2 development, testing of F1, F2 and delivery 2 will happen. Then again F3 development in the sprint 3, the testing of F1, testing of F3, then testing of both F1 and F2. So now tell me, Dhanwal, what will happen in sprint 4?
So the developer will develop the
Then
F4 and the tester will test the testing of F4, F3, F1, F2.
Okay. Good. Then now Fazal, tell me what will happen in sprint 5.
yeah, we will just add F4 function 5 for development, and then testing for 5 plus all of above, and then delivery also for F1, F2, F3, and F4, F5.
Correct.
So here in this agile model, the tester will only sit idle for until he will not get the sprint 1, right? Only for 5 days.
No, why? It's testing F1, right? Why is idle?
No, until the developer is not giving F1, how can they do the testing of F1?
Correct, correct. So here, let's say in the 5 days, the developer developed in 2 days. Then in the 3 days, the testing is doing. So in that 2 days, when development is done, he's been creating the test case, right? So he's not sitting idle. The whole period is occupied. Understood?
Yeah.
Now, here also one more thing I want to say. See, in earlier models, there was no use of automation at all because there is ample lot of time to test everything. You have ample time to test everything. But in agile model, you need to have automation. Now just think, in 5 days, F5 development is done. But can you test F5, F4, F3, F1, F2, everything? Can the testing team complete within these 5 days? No, it's not possible. If we go on and doing manually all the testing of all the feature in this 5 days, we cannot complete it. So for that reason, today's the automation demand is more. With the advancement of agile model, the demand for automation came into picture. Why? Because the amount of work which will be done at the subsequent sprint goes on increasing, but the team size is same and the time frame is same. So how you will finish that job? So along with the testing of F1 manually, you will also create the automation script for F1. So while in F2, you will do the manual testing of F2. Okay. But the F1 which is testing, you will do the automated run. So for automation run, you don't need to spend any time. You just click the button, it will automatically run. Just 1 second is required. Okay. So for that reason in Agile, automation also plays a vital role, which is followed nowadays. Earlier, you must have not heard about so much space for automation, but today's space for automation only because of this Agile, which the client agrees. Because at a given time frame, it is impossible for the same team with the same workforce and same time frame to take all its sprint. Can you think that you can test all the feature manually? It's not possible. Similarly, here we have to design the automation script of F2 in this sprint 2, so that here it will be automation testing of it. But always remember there is no automation without manual. So when the thing is developed, first we have to do manually only. So every time the new feature it is done manually, but in the second time it is done by automation. Understood? The puzzle.
Yes.
Yeah.
So tell me in F3 what should I do? What would be my automation? What would be my manual?
The first two would be automated, and the third one we will start from a manual.
So this will be testing manually. This is automation testing of
In the first two, yes.
F1 activity.
Like the whichever sprint we are giving the latest one, for that we will do the manual, and the previous one we will do the automation.
Okay. Likewise, it will go on for sprint 4 and sprint 5. That's why you must have heard so much claim about automation nowadays, which was not present earlier.